GM, just a quick one before we get going. So, as you know, the Blockmates podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Certainly shouldn't be considered as financial advice. We have absolutely no idea what we're talking about half the time. So, any investment decision you do make should be based on your own research and your own understanding of the risks involved. One more thing as well, there's around 50% of people who listen regularly who aren't subscribed yet. So, if you please could just do us a favor and hit the subscribe or the follow button or the like button, helps content grow, helps us grow, helps it reach more people like yourselves, and it means the world to us as well. So that's the last I'll ask of you. So yeah, let's get to the episode. All right, welcome back. Another Blockmates podcast episode. We've got Hamzah from 3POC Labs. We bumped into each other, I think the first time we might have met in Singapore.
Yes. First time.
And you've got an awful lot happening over in your neck of the woods. And I thought this would be an interesting episode because we haven't really had too many active market participants on here. I know there's been some retail investors and people coming on, but I want to kind of explore what it's like to actually run your own fund, particularly a liquid fund like you guys have got going on, and just kind of pick your brain and see if any of my ideas around the markets I'm barking up the wrong tree, or if or I might be kind of going down the right path. But yeah, first of all, man, how are you doing? It's been a couple of weeks since we met, wasn't it? So
yeah, it's good. After that, I think over there we hadn't really announced or anything. To be very honest, I think your podcast is the first one where I'm like officially now outside Polygon. Back then I was still with Polygon. But I think 31st, like last week was my last week, I think was my last week. So I've been just very busy since then, just like getting all at the same time trying to like find and buy good stuff at this market. At the same time, like, figuring out all the logistics and finances and operations and all that stuff. So yeah, it's been a bit hectic last month, but can't complain. Things are looking good. What about yourself?
Yeah, it's just chaos. I mean, I've just got back from getting married, and we're rolling out the.
Oh yes, I saw. Congratulations before anything. I remember.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so like I didn't really pick the perfect time to do that, but so like that's going on the new website, and there's like an awful lot. We're scaling up ourselves, and so I don't suppose there's a perfect time to do it. It's always going to be chaos, isn't it? So
yeah.
It's been good. Yeah, can you give the audience? I know we've spoke about this previously, and it's a great pedigree, particularly in this industry. So I'd like to just fill the audience in on what your background has been previously, and kind of slowly transition the conversation into where you're heading now with the new venture. But like a bit of a background on where you've been previously would be great, because that's the scene quite well.
Yeah, for sure. So for folks who don't know, like I was head of DeFi at Polygon. It was Matic when I joined, January 2021. I remember. So it was still a very small. It was still like the only thing with live was POS chain, and there was. I remember very clearly the day I joined. I looked at DeFi Llama. Was it? I think even DeFi Llama was there actively back there. There was like DeFi Pulse and bunch of other. I think VFAT was there, and a bunch of other things were there. And I remember there was like 10 million TVL on the chain, and 8.5 or 9 mil of that was on QuickSwap, and everything else was just like some random stuff. So my main job was like to and in the business team, and the whole Polygon team was like 20 people or something, 25 people, and the business team was like 5, 6, 7, including HR. And I was like, okay. So I had no idea what NL2 and all the things were like. So basically before Polygon, I ran a tech startup and was doing like education consulting. But I have a technical background myself. I was a developer for almost 2 years, software engineer for almost 2 years. But found out about crypto in 2017, back in 2018, back in college. But in 2020, finally found the Compound white paper, and I think Compound white paper and Uniswap white paper. I understood sitting in India, I was in India at that time, and I read about the Compound white paper, and I was like, oh, if in India I can, use the same assets, the same financial products as someone in New York, I think that's like the most powerful thing since social media. Or like since PayPal also was not there in many countries because of obvious reasons. But like since social media mainly, and I was like, okay, this thing is interesting, and that's how I found about it and just got interested and started in 2020 late, got active, and I think Loopring was live then. I was just getting live, and that's the first L2 I remember using. And I found like Ethereum gas fees were still high, right? In December, Ethereum gas fees are getting high because ETH went from like, I think 700 to 1100 or 1200 in like 48 hours or something, I think on 31st December. And I was like, oh shit, like gas fees is getting high. And then I found Loopring. Loopring testnet over mainnet beta had launched or something like that. And then like that, I was in a developing conference, hackathon, and I found about Matic Network, and that's how I joined Matic. So yeah, I joined Polygon in 2021 Jan, and grew the whole team. I hired a lot of people, fired also a lot of people. Not but I was responsible for like growing the ecosystem from like 10 million to 10 billion at the peak, and then just growing, keeping DeFi on Polygon relevant with amongst the likes of like Solana came, Phantom came, so many other chains came, but DeFi on Polygon still is like top 5, top 3. I don't remember now what is the criteria, but till I was there until last couple of months, I think it was like top 3 after Ethereum, Arbitrum, and Polygon in terms of like pretty much every metric. Forget BSC, like BSC is a different ecosystem, but like so was responsible for that. Then I hired Jack and a few other folks towards the end, and made sure that the transition and all is pretty good. So yeah, that was my thing. And now yeah, if you want, I can tell about like what I'm doing now.
Absolutely, yeah. That's obviously great kind of backstory. One of the absolute titans of the last bull market, and now it's kind of I'm really eager to kind of pick your brain on where you're heading with this new venture, and like just kind of high level fill everyone in what it is, where your head's at with it, and what the kind of structure looks like over there.
Yeah, I think mainly it's like so it's a liquid fund, very simply, and I am not too much of a venture person. I personally have written few things here and there, but I strongly believe that crypto is about democracy and like equality, and like everyone should have the same playing field. Like that's what got me into crypto. But I think like even like strictly speaking financially, right now there are a lot of cheap good stuff on the market that anyone can buy with a little bit of intelligence and a little bit of grinding it out. You can find good stuff. And like that's like the basic thing. Like we can buy, it's not a big fund, it's a 10 million fund, some personal, some friends and family, some ex-Polygon folks, some other folks, but it's not like real external LP fund. So we can buy tokens that we like, and yeah, the fund is called 3POC. We call it 3POC Labs. I'll explain why it's called Labs as well. And we can provide liquidity. So the main thing that I did at Polygon was like, made sure that, projects get enough liquidity when they launch on Polygon, and connecting them with a bunch of DeFi funds. So I thought like the most important like main thing for a DeFi project is, apart from the branding and marketing and tokenomics and the core stuff and the product, like it's about liquidity. So we can provide in this market like liquidity. Anyone who has who can provide like mid 7-figure liquidity on early days of launch. So we are more than happy to look into it, and like, yeah, we are providing liquidity right now on a bunch of like these new L2s that are coming in the Polygon ecosystem, in the OP ecosystem, outside as well. So we are, that's, again, it's agnostic. It's not like I was at Polygon, so it's not necessary that it's only Polygon related. But yeah, that's like the main thing. And the labs part is mainly that because we have worked very closely at Polygon with a bunch of teams, I think we can do a good job like helping and advising in the tokenomics side of things as well as on the BD side of things, because like I grew the whole BD thing from DeFi, from fintech, NFTs, did a bunch of those things, grew the whole team across a bunch of verticals. So I think we can do a bunch of those things. So we already have a few clients. Like I haven't even announced anything yet. It's just like through connections, through people who know us, that we can we speak, we do what we speak, and yeah, that's like the lab side. That's why I'm not like your classic hedge fund or fund guy. Like I'm more of like a builder, in the trenches kind of person. So that's why it's called labs.
Yeah, that's I mean, it must be exciting times. I'd like to think at some point in the future, when all said and done with the whole blockmates thing, I'll probably be a long time in the future, that I can just sit back and I'd probably focus myself more on kind of the angel side and private rounds. That I quite like that aspect of it. But do you think the decision for being a liquid fund is it a couple, like, I know you mentioned you like the equality aspect of it. Do you think it's also like a result of where we are in the markets, where, because I've seen like a lot of pitch decks come across the desk that don't have a working product, then they're valuing themselves at valuations where I could also go and pick that up on the public markets with a live working product that has like a roadmap that team seem to be hitting. And like public valuations have there was a point probably about 6 to 8 weeks ago where public valuations were as tasty as some of the private rounds that were coming through. So do you think it's kind of a result of that as well?
Yes, for sure, because the access to angels and access to everyone is trying to find the new shiny toy, but there are a lot of like diamonds in the rough in liquid, like Matic, for example, right? Like I had joined very early and I was lucky. Like I'm giving an example, like anyone could have joined Matic or could have bought in the market. Much richer than me could have bought in the market much more tokens. From 4 cents or 5 cents in January 2021, it went to like $3. Again, that's like one of a kind. But even Solana, I'll tell you what my first trade ever was. Like I bought Solana at $2, $2.50 or something. Sold it at $5. I thought it was the best trade ever. And then you know what happened? It went to 300. And I was like, oh fuck, what did I do? So yeah, like stuff like that, right? Like when you look back at the market, then you think there's so much opportunity in the and there were people. So I didn't know, like I was not well connected back then. I didn't know how these markets work, but I got to know later on that there were a lot of funds buying OTC Solana in 2019, 2020, buying SAFs and buying OTC stuff. So I think it's the same case right now. You can, because it's easy to start a project. Like I can, again, I don't have that much experience. There are much more smarter and experienced people, but I can say one thing for sure: it's much easier to start a project. But the resolve and the grind and the iterations and there's so much of things required to like keep it going to like 100 mil or a 200 mil, or I'm not saying the market cap, but like the TVL or the volume or whichever metric you are optimizing for. It's very, very hard to like do that in especially in crypto when everything is liquid from day one. Like that's like the biggest learning for me, coming from like a tech background, but also like I was working, my first job was at Citi, so I have some like investment banking background as well. So like where there you have like startups have like this time frame to be private for a long period of time and then go liquid when they like want to issue a stock or when they find PMF and stuff like that, right? So it takes a lot of time for you to go private to public, and you have that luxury to keep everything opaque. But in crypto, it's like you launch a token, sure, you can keep it for 6 months, 3 months, 9 months, but that time period is like 1/10 or 1/5 at least. So the resolve that you need to keep it grinding through the whole process is very hard. And in these times, I think you can find a lot of good stuff that yeah, that's like when it's just damn cheap. People just don't want to research and are just lazy, I think.
Mm-hmm. Is there any kind of like overarching thesis that you guys have got, or is like what kind of stuff are you looking at without kind of giving you full book away?
Oh no, there is no thesis per se. Like it's we can buy anything. When I say anything, means like above 20 mil market cap. I wouldn't go buying like deck screener, sort them, and like do that shitcoinery thing. I think it's just too hard to do that. But no, I think yeah, we can buy anything pretty much.
Yeah. Is there any kind of like if I let's just riff on a couple of areas that I'm seeing like emerge, and if you've got any thoughts on them, great. If not, we can kind of move on. But are you guys paying attention to anything that's happening over with Eigen Layer?
Oh, that's one thing which I actually want to like spend a little more time on. I was literally talking about it just today. Was that how do we like think about, because today we had a team telling us about like restaking. So I'll admit I have to look closely into like the restaking business. I have my doubts about it, but I understand like it's going to be a big thing. So yeah, I admittedly haven't looked too much into it.
Yeah, we've got a report that we haven't published. I'll fire it over. It just seems to be like every other day there's like something else popping up that's building on top of or adjacent to it, and like one of our analysts has created this report, and I honestly didn't realize like how many protocols were looking to build on it, and it just feels like if they get it right, and I know there's a couple of kind of drawbacks what people have brought up already, but if they get it right, I think it'd be pretty huge. But I've seen you guys speaking about good entry.
Oh yes.
Is there any kind of thesis around that? Or I think they're great personally. I think they're a really, really good team. I think the product's excellent. Just love to get your kind of opinion on that one.
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, we are an advisor to them. Like I've known June. We have known June for. June is the founder of Good Entry. He was one of the co-founders of TheaterNet. So I've known him from TheaterNets. I think he's very good. I think he understands the product and he understands the community side of things very well. And one of the most interesting things that drew me to the project was that it's fair launch. Firstly, it's a fair launch. Like even we don't have everything we'll get will be from the 100% token allocation, which will be unlocked then. That is one thing. But the second thing is like it's an interesting product because I've always believed in the thesis of options, but anyone doing options right now is like very inefficient, or there is like crypto market participants just don't understand options. It's as simple as that. Like there is like 3 people in the world or 4 desks in the world that understand how options work and they use Deribit. It's as simple as that. Anyone who says anything else is lying or just playing with like $100. Like I don't want to build anything for people with like $100 or $200 that are doing that. Like that does not make sense. But what they're doing with like protected perps, they're calling it protected perp, but in fact it's an options protocol, which I think is very interesting. And the mimetics and branding and like the whole product suite of like the good of being good is pretty cool. I really like. That's why I met June in Singapore. Yeah, back then when we met, yeah. And then I also invited him to India. So there was like a couple of events, a Delphi event in Bombay, and then in Bangalore there was a CoinDCX, which is the biggest exchange. So I invited him, I introduced him to a bunch of people. So he was like more than happy. Like a lot of folks were like happy with like what they're building, the Delphi guys and a bunch of them. So like I think it's interesting. But then again, of course I have to be biased.
Yeah, I love how they've kind of, you correct me saying it's options protocol kind of Trojan horsed in with the advent of perps, and that's great because people, as you say, in this industry, particularly if they're on chain, it's like they're shit scared of options for some reason. It's like, and I know there's a lot of complexity that can go into them, but they don't need to be. And I think that's
because the average market participant just wants number to go up. Like it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
They don't want They don't want like
100
gamma,
100x
theta.
perps.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't non-expirable perps. As simple as that. It's as simple as that, and your funding rate keeps eating into your profits. But
Yeah.
because the numbers are so high, like the wall is so high, you don't really it doesn't really matter that much. But with options, you have like it's just so much of parameters that you have to see, like expiry dates, you have to see theta, gamma, and premium, and like so much shit. So
Yeah.
it's a good experiment. Let's again.
Yeah,
Let's see.
100%. And I like the idea that the way that they're utilizing concentrated liquidity, there's definitely potential for longer tail assets as well, which I don't think your Deribits of the world, I don't think your Dopexes of the world, I don't think your even Lyra protocols of the world are gonna entertain anytime soon, particularly with the way that they're set up. So I really like that aspect of it as well. People want to speculate on high volatile assets,
Yes.
and that's a way to do it.
Yes. Yes, and more interesting is like as we get into the I mean, we are like pre-early stage of bull market. Like that's my opinion. We are like in the early stage of the bull market. Not even like we have. I don't think the bull market is actually big. I mean, it has begun, technically speaking. Like the 4-year bull market has begun because like Bitcoin is up 2x from lows, so it's definitely begun. But like you'll see more like shit coins come into the market, and people want to leverage on that. Like you've been like the how the raris of the world and like the multiple like shitcoin lending markets come. So we'll see more of that. So
Yeah, 100%. I suppose a different take on the derivatives. There's been a protocol we've been commentating on an awful lot. Have you checked out Vertex? Because they've got a
yes, of course, yes.
What's the feeling in your camp about Vertex?
Oh, I love it. I've been using it for some time now. Although we admittedly forgot to actually use it from the fund because I was just too busy, like reading some like some shitcoins. So we did well on like when I say shitcoins, I mean like all. I need to now. I'm realizing like, oh, now I'm a fund manager. I'm a fund manager. So like I need to like say good words and like sound sophisticated and stuff like that. But like I've been like researching more altcoins and doing some OTC deals here and there over the last 2-3 weeks. So I just totally forgot that the Vertex thing is getting end. But we've been active on Hyperliquid. But yes, Vertex is great. Like I have been using it personally for some time. I think it's interesting. I know the LBA is coming. We actually put a report last night, I think, from the 3POC Labs Twitter. It's not as big as Blockmates, but we are trying. Any tips are
I'm sure you'll get there.
yeah, any tips are open. So if you want to like outsource some work to us, we are more than happy to put some heads, and we are going to do something on Canto more. We did on Canto. We did on Hyperliquid. We did on Vertex. I think we'll do a few more as we get into this like more rigorous stuff. But yeah, I like Vertex. I like the brand. I like what they have. I'm actually very impressed. I didn't know that they were a Terra project. I had heard of something. Yes, I that's pretty impressive. Like there are few teams that have like survived the whole Terra thing and like become big. I think Vertex is like the biggest of them. I know Stader was a Stader Protocol, the Matic X.
Yeah.
ETH one. So we've been speaking closely with them. We're providing liquidity on Stader, just full disclosure. So of course I can chill the bags, but even they were like a Terra protocol, and they are also like increasing day by day with their E3 staking and all of that. So
there's a lot to be said for those who did get caught up in that breakdown and like I've rebuilt from the ground up from the back of it, because I know Vertex were like nearly ready to ship, and they've had to kind of obviously go elsewhere. The code wasn't 100% portable, like rebuild, find a new community on Arbitrum, try and convince people who were kind of in the Terra community to come over to Arbitrum, and like got to hand it to them that they've delivered on absolutely everything with swift execution on absolutely everything they've ever said. So like I'm really impressed with the team. I think it's good test of resolve that they kind of bounce back from that, because they could have just like handed back what money they'd
Yep.
raised
Yep.
and just
Yep.
went,
Yep.
fuck
Yep.
it, I'm not.
So many people did that. So many
Yeah.
people did that.
It's
So
like-
many people were like, yeah, I think Vertex, I got to know about this like, I think just yesterday or day before yesterday. Someone told me when I was just like finishing up the report, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool.
And I think were Kuji over there when they handled like public liquidations for?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people I trust in the industry speaking quite highly of Kuji, so I probably need to like, when you just kind of hear it from different sources and you're like, right, it's probably about time I go and check it out. But there's so much happening.
Is a project or what?
Kujira.
Oh, Kujira. Oh, yes, I've heard. I've heard it's just been going up. That's all I've heard. Yeah.
Great number go up technology. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's the best use case of blockchain technology.
He's kind of paying attention to any particular ecosystems that aren't live yet. Like I know there's like Monad that's coming around the corner, Berachain. There's a few on the horizon that look quite like they might have something about them.
I like Manta. So we have been like working again. We've been working closely with Manta for their launch. So we also helped them get into the Polygon ecosystem. So they are going to become I think it's public information now. So yeah, Manta is going to become a Polygon layer 2. They were using OP stack before, but now they're launching the Pacific chain, which is their main chain, is going to become a ZK layer 2, which was a OP stack before. So I think they are interesting in terms of the way they handle ZK compression and those things. I think it's an interesting way. How they have like ported from OP to here. It shows that okay, like more OP chains can become, like, because you understand, most people, anyone understanding infrastructure will understand that like the optimistic one is short term. Sure, it makes sense right now, but like long term, ZK allows much more scalability and bridging, fast bridging and all those things. So I don't think I think Manta is interesting. We've been helping Canto. Again, those are public. So Canto is interesting in terms of like the note stable coins. We have provided liquidity there. You can get like decent liquidity there, and like it's also interesting because it was like we were the bottom of the chart, like practically. So after Singapore, we bought from the fund slowly and steadily up to, and it's done well. So of course I have a fiduciary responsibility to shield that or something.
What's the point of diminishing returns if you like an on-chain, particularly if you buy an on-chain with, like, I know you said you're roughly around 10 mil, but is there a point where it gets like, if you're like thought about it as like 50 mil, like way too much to be trying to operate and churn out good returns? Is 10 mil like a good sweet spot? Like, because we all know like the depth of liquidity on chain, people are struggling for it. Yeah.
No, for sure.
Enter and exit, so.
Yeah, I agree. It's just hard, like especially right now, right? Like where things are. Yeah, there's like no liquidity. There's like literally you buy 100K or something, like you fucking pump the price up like 3% or 4%, or on decent tokens which are like 100 mil market cap or something. Like it's pretty interesting to see that. I was just this morning buying something. It's worth like 100 mil or something, and I bought like 100K. Not even 100K. I bought like 60, 70K of that, and it pumped the price up like 1%, 1.5%. Like wow. I agree. Like it's hard to, if you do fully on chain, but again, like just to give an understanding. So like not 10 mil of that is for buying shitcoins, buying altcoins. Like so right now I think it's like 30-70 or 40-60 right now for like altcoin side of things, as well as like the DeFi liquidity side of things. So we want to like keep both the things in place. So not going full degen yet. So we might when the time is right, but so it's not too hard for that small size. But yes, I agree. When you have like, I would say like 20 2025. But then again, liquidity right now is just too bad. Hopefully, when the market goes up and when so much of like on-chain stuff is happening with like Base is becoming a thing, and like more on-chain liquidity comes up, I don't think like you can run easily up to like 30 mil. Shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah. What was your take on what we've seen recently with like kind of a short-lived but definite prominent explosion with like your consumer and kind of social apps like your Vertex and your Stars Arena of the world? Does that interest you at all, or
I was using not from the fund side, no, but like personally, so I was using Frentech. I was actually still using like last week, just like reading a bunch of stuff here and there. The bonding curve part didn't make sense to me, but I'm sure once they like announce, so I have my thesis, like if they announce a token or something with the points redeemable or whatever you want to call that, if they redeem that, they can give you like an option to have a steep curve and a less steep curve. Depends on what stage, or you can have like custom curves, like let's say you already have, I don't know, 200 holders, or I have 10 holders, so I want mine to be more steeper so that I have more payouts initially. As I go into the curve, up into the curve, it flattens a bit. So I'm not, so anyone entering my chat does not really have to pay that much compared to something. So like that kind of like, and they'll have to like make a new, in my opinion, make a new like a migration contract or something where you'll get the token as a creator. I'll only get the token when I migrate to the V2, let's say, and then it becomes like then it becomes much more accessible. But it was an interesting experiment. It is still an interesting experiment. I think it's interesting how Telegram and Discord degens just moved completely because people can speculate on people. Like it was an interesting reminder that crypto is all about speculation. Anyone saying anything else is let's see.
What yes. Is there a like from the point of the idea to the point of the execution, what's the steps look like if you're deciding on a position or you're deciding on a bag, or like if there's something that comes up? Is there like a thought process? Is there kind of a checklist? Like, and there might even be a checklist internally that you like just take for granted that like a lot of people probably could gain a little bit of insight from there if they're coming in the markets for the first time, and maybe some green flags, maybe some red flags. What's the kind of thought process to go to market there?
Yeah, it's a good question. So there's a lot of stuff involved in that. Like main thing is like the narrative. Will people buy into that narrative? I think that is more important. Let's say restaking, right? Like, so I think restaking will be big. I may like it or I may not like it. I have my apprehensions around like the security of Ethereum blockchain because of restaking, because it's getting too financialized. So like, but regardless, I believe restaking will become big. So if Eigen Layer launches at, I don't know, couple bill at least, then that is my high bit. That is my like main position. Let's say I'm farming it or whatever, and I want to find like the high beta ones. So like I'll start looking into what's there. Similarly, like when we did with Canto, I'll give you an example. So like when we did with Canto was like at what, like 80 mil, I think, FDV. Yeah, I think it was at 80 mil, 90 mil FDV. And when the Polygon news came out, I was like, okay, this does not make sense. Like this is too cheap for a fully no unlock L2 project. And I had met a couple of the teams and a couple of the team members in Singapore, and I was like, I knew that the RWA thing was coming, and I still think the RWA stuff that they're doing is pretty good. Like, and I think they can become easily top 3 chain by RWA because the mechanism that they have built bootstraps a lot of liquidity and can get you like 20% stable coins pretty much risk-free. Of course, there's nothing risk-free, but pretty much risk-free. So that way also is a good is a and I think that will just pump up the maker the maker rate, and like it's a high beta to that maker rate. Of course, it is
Yeah.
more risky. So keeping all that in mind, I was like, okay, this thing makes sense. Let's start buying. Of course, liquidity was shit. Uh, it is what it is. And yeah, things like that. Like of course, it has to check, like, team does not rug team. The team, and team
Yeah.
actually is interested to like build something much bigger than a couple 2-3x or whatever, like not just the multiple, but like everything what they're trying to build. Speak with them a lot. Like that was my main job at Polygon, was just speaking to many teams as possible. So I think, and of course, because we understand I like to believe that we understand where the market is going, and like understanding the trends a little before they happen. So like, yeah, restaking, perps, and like like hyperliquid. I don't know if you've used it, but like I love
Yeah.
hyperliquid. I love hyperliquid. Like I was using it since like 5 months, or like when we launched way early. So been using, and I'm not a trader myself, but like just like some slinging here and there for buying lunch money. So I like hyperliquid. So I spent a lot of time with their team in Singapore. Like they had a lunch. I spent with the Jeff, who was the
Mhm.
co-founder there. Spent a lot of time understanding, like why Rust they chose Rust, and why is it closed source now when they're planning to open source it. A bunch of things. There are a bunch of risks in the HLP pool as well, but it's interesting. It's worth taking the risk, because the product is just very good.
Yeah, did you say you've released a report on it? We've got one, and we've got I think Jerry interviewed Jeff as well, like about 6 months ago. But it's another great product. I'm just really eager to see which DEX comes on the market, particularly when their token's live, and then closes the gap on DYDX, because I think DYDX, obviously market leader in the on-chain space. I don't know what heading over to Cosmos is going to do with regards to, is that going to increase friction for people? I don't know how that's going to play out. Because if we learned anything, people want everything handed to them on a plate, and I know a lot of their volumes coming from kind of traditional market makers and stuff like that. But that kind of heavy lift to get over onto a new kind of setup, particularly on Cosmos, I don't know what that's going to look like, and I think there's definitely room for others in the perp space, particularly in the on-chain space, to kind of close that gap and steal a bit of market share. And if they do steal a bit of market share, it's a lot to steal. So
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. I think Vertex and Hyperliquid, in my opinion, are the best position for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what's the kind of time horizon for like a lot of these positions that you're thinking about, or like even taking up? Is it, let's see where we get and kind of play it by ear? Like where's your head at? Is this more of a medium, long term position? Like,
Yeah,
what's the general kind of time horizon?
so can be like a few weeks, months. So like we haven't sold any Canto. We bought like a month and a half ago or something. We bought a lot of Matic at a month ago, I think. Um, what else? Yeah, so like again, depends. I don't plan on selling any of it right now. We might, but like not really. And some, like, I've been starting to think about, not starting, actually we have allocated some money into meme coins, because I genuinely I had to like think about it, because I personally have a bunch of it, but then I started to think, like, will I really outperform meme coins? Is it that it will be very hard to outperform meme coins if in like we go into like crazy bull, right? Like it will be
Yeah.
very hard to outperform. So yeah.
And where's your, because there's a few things I really learned last week. Like, I kind of knew of it, and then I really got, like, the market really showed me what I was supposed to do. So there is definitely a threshold on what people can understand and what they'll invest in. So like, if it's something that's like, I don't think you're going to get the masses investing in, you might get masses investing in Eigen Layer, but you're not going to get the masses investing in a derivative product based off the back of Eigen Layer that's doing a million different million different things that me and you'd struggle to have a conversation around, and we work in this industry all day, every day. That's not going to cut through like the fourth wall. Like you've seen like things like Luna, like on time, cut through to the masses last cycle. For better or for worse, they all ended up completely fucked. But they did have like a huge run that was completely outsized returns. And it's like, I think the way I've been looking at stuff recently is I need to start paying attention to stuff, even if I think it's stupid. I need to start paying attention to stuff if friends and family who are coming into the market for the first time are asking me about it. Whether I like it or not, it's you kind of here to make money if you're going to be an investor or a trader. So I don't know if you kind of have any thoughts around like picking left curve bags.
Yeah, so left curve bags are I mean, I don't know if I should talk about it, but like there is a beloved meme coin called there are a bunch of names in that meme coin. A beloved the the one I'm talking about. Yeah. So I love that. I think it's one of the best memes I have seen in
It's so
crypto.
funny.
It's so funny, right? Exactly. It's so funny. I told my sister about it, and she's like, "Oh, this is cute." And then I was like, "Oh, I need to size this up." Size this up because imagine you can say that, oh, I have a few hundred or I have a few thousand that versus the original one. I can say the people's meme coin versus something else. So like think like that's what like Doge and Sheep were like. Oh, they're cute. And I told my sister about it. She was like, "Oh, this is cute. I know this, whatever that is." And then I'm sure everyone would be like, "What the fuck? Why can't they say it? Like it's everyone."
We have to be responsible. I'm sure we can say it.
Yeah,
we did a full episode with a comedian from like he's one of our mates. He's a comedian in Australia, and he's like all he did. He wants to like just move off to like a remote island in El Salvador and just like farm Bitcoin for the rest of his life. He's like doesn't understand anything else apart from like Bitcoin. And we did a full episode trying to explain this meme coin that we're kind of hinting at to him, and it was just blowing his mind and some of his takes.
Yeah, oh, really?
It was so funny. There's so many clips, and it's just like, how do you explain that to him? And he got it, and he thought it was hilarious. But yeah, stuff like that. It's just.
Did he get it? Did he get it?
Got it. He thought it was.
Oh man, that is so cool.
He thought it was like absolutely hilarious, like one of the funniest things he's ever seen.
See, it's stuff like that. I told my sister about it, and she's like, "Do you really do? This is what you do for your living?" Like, what? And I was like,
This.
I was like, "Yeah, this is what it is."
Oh god, there's
My sister does not respect me after that.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I always what do you say to people when they ask you what you do?
Oh, I work in fintech.
Yeah, that's my go-to.
Yeah, I don't. I was telling a friend of mine that I don't. So she knows that I work in crypto. So I was like, yeah, I don't really tell people I work in crypto. And she's like, why? And I was like, what? What do you mean why? Don't you know why? Like this, everyone is saying so bad things about crypto, and she's like, oh yeah, makes sense. So I just.
Or you get stuck with someone who has like invested in XRP and thinks they know what they're talking about, and then tries to like XRP pill you for like an hour, and you just have to be polite and go along with it. And I can't be doing that.
Yeah, same. I agree. That's the most useless thing ever. Or like even worse, Cardano.
Oh Jesus! I'm just waiting for them to like announce that they're gonna create an L2, even though they have no working apps or a working chain. They'll try and latch onto another narrative, like save. Like obviously the L2 space is very, very hot at the minute, but they'll probably come out and say they've got like ZK tech that they're going to expand on and just like latch onto the current narrative to be relevant, and then they promise they're going to deliver it, and then at the height of the market they announce it and like roll it out, just the same like they did last time. Like what did he say last time? They expected to have 10,000 dApps on
apps, NFTs and apps, DeFi and stuff like that.
What world is that guy living in? Honestly. People fall for it every time though, so it's probably a good trade.
It's a cult. It's a freaking cult. But what do you guys are thinking in terms of the market, and what other narratives are? Like, you guys see much more than probably I do.
I think we're like, as you say, I'm very aligned with the point that we're in the very early days of something that looks a lot more positive than the last 2 years. I don't know if it's a lot longer of a slow burn up, but there just seems to be a lot of things aligning that have kind of shifted the momentum. I think for us, a few key areas of interest are, we definitely said like liquids restaking with Eigen Layer. I want to see how that whole thing plays out. I like how there's a lot of people trying to solve not just the perps dex problem, but even the spot dex problem. Like, how's that gonna end up? Like, we've seen a lot of people go towards request for quote. Like, you got CowSwap announced that they're gonna have some revenue share. Uniswap X is request for quote, Hashflow. Like, there's a lot, like, looking at the AMM space and thinking, is this the actual best way to do it? So there's a lot of stuff happening there. And I like, there's a lot of protocols like Infinity Pools and Logarithm that are looking to use like idle liquidity that's outside the current tick to kind of offer perps and offer margin on long tail assets. And I think that might be a way for people who are providing liquidity on AMMs to actually get decently compensated for the risk that they're taking. I like the idea of not social apps, like more consumer facing apps, like cutting through and just completely abstracting away the fact that you're actually, like, I think Blackbird's are one. Don't really get the use case, like restaurant reservations and being able to track all. I think it's a good idea. And the more we get this technology in the hands of people without like a complete Trojan horse, without them knowing they're using it, the better, I think. So I like the idea of that. And then probably, I don't know, I really like, have you seen Juicy Perp?
I have seen what?
So Juicy Perp. So it's
Juicy perps.
It's an NFT perp platform, and obviously we had NFT perp, but they used like a virtual AMM model, and it really didn't work, and I think it wrecked a lot of LPs. But these guys are going for just a traditional liquidity pool counterparty style model, and they're going to actually create their own oracle around it, because I think the latency around NFT floor price feeds is what got NFT perp wrecked. So I really wanted to just be able to speculate on the NFT market, because NFT founders throw up so many catalysts for better and for worse. I wish there was like a venue that you could just like speculate on it. I don't really want to hold or buy into like a community or buy loads of NFTs, but
bro, my personal portfolio is like 50% NFTs right now.
Is it?
And I'm like, oh, I think I overbought, but it's a bunch of miladies. So I'm like, so that's my zero. That's my curve, right? Like, so I have like Sprotos and miladies here. I minted like 20 Sprotos, but then I sold everything at like 10x, and I was like, okay, fair. And then it went to like 1 ETH. I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
But I still
hold
them. So I have like miladies and Sprotos, and I have a punk here, and nothing in between. Like that's my and I have a bit of like on-chain art, like terraforms and math castles over on the punk side of things, and that's it. Nothing in between.
What about pudgies?
I don't have. I to be fair, I should have. Many smart people told me to do that, but I think I have one or two little pudgies or something, but like not really.
Yeah, we literally, when we were in Singapore, when we met, we literally interviewed him, and he said there's something happening on the 26th. He can't announce what it is. And I was like, oh yeah, it won't be that big. And then it was like, bang, we're in Walmart. I was like, oh, I literally just handed it to me on a plate, and I still didn't fucking do anything about it.
Yeah, I bought about a few miladies at like recently, just before this run up that happened. I think like miladies are something interesting.
Yeah.
Apart from all the drama that happened, but like
there's always drama with it, but it's like people are holding them because it's fun. And I know there's like a speculative element to it, but the vast majority of people who are holding it are just, it's like, it's funnier to not sell. So it's like
yes,
like, and that's your counterparty, and that's a good counterparty to have when you're buying into something.
yes. It's interesting. We're discussing counterparty of illiquid JPEGs. I never thought I would be doing that, but sure, why not?
Here we are. Is there any kind of high conviction play for 2024 that I might be missing that's not on the radar?
I mean, I'll be biased because I just got out of Polygon, but I genuinely don't feel people understand what Polygon is building. And to be very honest, I have told Sandeep, I have told everyone this many times. Like, we are very bad at explain at like, I wouldn't say very bad. Like, very bad is actually a derogatory thing, but like, it's hard to explain what is being built in like a one line. Like, it's hard to do that. But I believe that, yeah, like a soundbite, like Solana monolithic, Ethereum supercomputer, or ultrasound money. I think we need to genuinely. I think we need to, like, as part of anyone who's holding Matic. I still hold most of my vested Matic that I got from working there. I think it's still very cheap at these price points. I think it's easily top 5-7 project in the whole space, because genuinely I believe, like, because the ZK tech, and I was speaking with someone this morning. This morning I was speaking with a Oracle project, and they're building on Polygon's ZK technology. Because Plonky 2, which is like the cutting edge ZK prover technology, Plonky 3 is coming, which is even more faster and more efficient, and no one in the space has that. So they're using Plonky 2 for that. So I was surprised to know that, okay, the tech by Polygon is being used by other teams. So that way, like, that's how, like, all these multiple layer ones will be like settling back into Ethereum using Polygon ZK, and that's where Pol will receive a bunch of revenues and fees from all. So let's say Polygon POS chain currently does, last I checked, did about like 20-30 mil ARR fees, which is compared to Arbitrum. Arbitrum does 50, I think. Like, it's been a month I checked it, so 50 mil ARR. And because they have higher fees, it's an L2, pure L2, so it's different. But with ZK let's say ZK becomes that big, and then Canto is there, then Immutable is there, then there are a bunch others that are going to come. I know. So like, there are 10 protocols, there are 10 chains or 100 chains, let's say, and I easily think by next year, there'll be like 100 chains settling back on Ethereum using Polygon ZK, and that ZK allows you to firstly. So there are two things. So one, you can go from any chain to any X chain to Y chain. So it allows instant bridging. That is the unified liquidity part of it, and the unified and unlimited scalability is because ZK fundamentally in the code allows you to like scale exponentially, because the more transactions happen on that chain, the gas keeps going lower and lower. Unlike optimistic rollups, because the fraud proof is much higher. So size very higher. So that way, I think Matic and now Pol. So that the renaming of the token and like the new token will have a lot of interesting things which will happen. I think maybe the end of this year, or Q1. I think somewhere around early Q1. It's there on the forum. Like, all this is public information. So I think around Q1 is where I'm personally very interested to see how, like, because also think about like Ethereum's roadmap as explained by Vitalik and many people in the forums and everywhere on ETH research and all, is like the future of Ethereum is layer 2s, because they don't want to like fuck around with the main L1. So the big innovation and I wouldn't say value capture, but the big innovation will happen on L2s, and how L2s will be settling on Ethereum. And any L2 that captures most of the value right now, I agree. Arbitrum is very good in DeFi, hands down. But they're running a very again, like, I have been critical of it. I don't know, rightly so or not, but like, they're running a very expensive ship, because STIP rewards are pretty high. Everyone is just getting ARB tokens. So, but as a retail person, as a secondary liquid fund guy, I don't understand why I would ever buy ARB. Like, even the ARB staking, I understand it's staking and they have timed it well, but like, sorry?
It just seems a bit silly, the staking thing.
I don't understand. Like it's like the ape staking, right? Like ape staking was nothing. There was no fees on that. There was no so like as a retail participant, I don't understand why I would ever buy ARB if there is no fees from the protocol. There's no floor, right? In my head, fees create floors, and speculation keeps ceilings, but like fees create floors. And so since there are no fees, there are no floors. So that's why like I don't understand. And again, I'm more than happy to be wrong about it, but I genuinely believe that Pole token, which will be which Matic is, will have a lot of like cash flow from multiple. It will become more of like a hyper productive asset from like multiple chains giving paying rent to Pole stakers. And I know the staking hub is very is getting live very very soon in the next months, in the next few months. So again, that's my opinion. I strongly believe that ZK technology is the future of blockchains. I believe that POW was like the phase 1 of blockchains, POS was the phase 2 of blockchains, and ZK powered chains are going to be the future. And I think Matic and Polygon. I mean, Polygon is going to play a central role in that.
When is the migration?
So actually, it is live. It is live. You can. It's one-to-one contract on Ethereum. It's you can read about it in the forum.polygon.technology. But actually, you can go from Paraswap. Actually, you can go from Paraswap. So you can go Paraswap and put Pole and Matic, and you can just like swap directly. So Paraswap has integrated that contract.
Nice.
So yeah, it is live. It is listed on Bybit. The Pole token is also listed on Bybit now.
Sweet. Yeah, I did wonder when that was going on. It sounds like we internally at Blockmates probably need to do a lot more deep dive research on what's going on over there. You need to put us in touch with the right people to speak to. We'll do a load of deep dive content.
Yeah, we are actually going to. Sorry, I'm like stretching my. I overslept a bit this morning. I usually sleep like 5 hours, like 6.5, 7 hours. But I've actually just posting tonight. I think tonight a post on the Matic to Pole, like why it is important to understand like what's the difference between Matic and what's the difference between Pole. So we'll be doing something tonight. People don't understand it. I think that. But yeah, again, happy to do something together also on that.
Absolutely. So there you go, listeners, viewers. There's a lot of nuggets to be taken from there. But yeah, that was great, man. Thanks very much for that. And if you want to come back on in the new year, there's things a lot changing. Hopefully, we're in a roaring bull market and everyone's happy and nobody's fighting each other. But yeah, whenever you want to come back.
No, we'll definitely be fighting. That's for sure. Like that is one thing. One thing I can go 100x left long is like there is no way there will be no fights on Twitter. There is no way.
Absolutely. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. I keep getting shouted at by Henry. You need to like and subscribe this because still early. The podcast we've just released is going to flip our subscriber count if we're not careful. So please do us a favor and do that. But yeah, thanks for listening. Speak to you next time. Bye.